Hola, talking about Preterite and Imperfect today. I'll do my best to show you what I'm doing as well as show you the notes. So please start off with 2 pieces of paper. I use computer paper. This is just scratch paper. And then you need 3 different colors to write in. Your title will be one color, Preterite will be one color, and Imperfect. And I will use green for Preterite, blue for Imperfect. So we're actually making a flip book today. Here's how you make a flip book. You start with 2 pieces of paper, set them about an inch apart from each other, like so. Then you have to fold this piece of paper backwards until you see now 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. And then you can nicely crease it better than I am, and that's what we're going to use. Now, you can put 2 little staples on top and begin with your titles. Your titles will be right here, and they're listed on the screen. Translation, specific uses, important verbs, timelines, and examples. Here's what mine looks like. Pause that if you need to. Notice I'm using green for preterite, blue for imperfect. So each slide of notes, we will open up the new tab. Keep this flip book forever because you will want it forever. Trust me. So pause if you need to, and then let's move on to translation. For the translation, open up your first flip. This is where I'm writing. You can see I had to write a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom there. For the preterite, we usually mean ed when we talk about it in English. Walked, talked. Remember, there's also irregulars like ran, swam. It could also be did, like we did run. Okay, a completed action, completed event. It started in the past, it stopped in the past, and that's it. Imperfect now. For their translation, we say used to. We've probably already heard that already, but let's remind ourselves of it. I used to walk to school as a kid. Or it could be was or were doing. So while this thing was happening, another thing was happening. While my mom was talking on the phone, there was somebody at the door. It's an ongoing or a repeated action. So the ongoing is that ing, the repeated is the used to. Now we have specific uses. So open up your flip book. Now to specific uses. You see that I had to write a little bit small for imperfect, but otherwise I could fit it all on that tab. For the preterite, it's events that began and ended at a specific time. On a timeline, I could put it a dot where it started, a dot where it stopped, and that's it. Call it good. The imperfect, though, is a little more goofy. The imperfect, it's background information. So anytime you're setting up the scene, most likely it's imperfect. For example, the time. It was 5 o'clock. There's that word was again. The date. It was June 5th, whatever it may be. Weather. Hacía sol. It was sunny. The location of somebody. Their age. Their appearance, their feelings, and their internal thoughts. So when you think about it, these are things that are not as boom done. They're more constant. So the weather, yeah, it's sunny one day, cloudy one day, but it's not like a moment-to-moment change. It continues over time. Same thing with your age or your appearance, your feelings. They start to come on, and then they go out and they linger, or maybe they don't. It's all in the past, though. This background information will be key to you figuring out which past tense do I use, preterite or imperfect. Both are in the past. We got to figure out why. There are some key verbs that can help us decide is it preterite or imperfect. So these verbs use preterite or imperfect most frequently. Now, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of the times. So now I'm on the tab Important Verbs. Important verbs. As you can see, preterite was not so many. Imperfect, you want more space for. For the preterite, things to like nacer, morir, caerse, empezar, and comenzar. Again, no difference between empezar and comenzar. These are things that happen boom done. You're born one time, it's done and it's over. In fact, there's an exact minute that you were born on your birth certificate. Same thing when someone dies. Okay. To fall. You're walking, you fall. That's it. It's over. Started, stopped, ended. We're not continuously falling for years and years. That would make no sense. Start is the same way. Boom, we shot the gun at the beginning of the race. We started and it's over. That is something that happens in a moment. Same thing with ending, terminar. Now the imperfect, again, is a little more here and there and kind of happening in the past, and maybe it's not, or maybe it starts, or maybe it stops. We don't really know. We also don't really care. So here's what I did to help me remember the imperfect. For the verbs in mi corazón, in my heart, I put a heart by them because they're things I feel in my heart. So el corazón, heart, is where I drew those hearts. To want, querer, esperar, to hope, sentirse, to feel, and amar, to love. These are things that just don't come on suddenly and end suddenly, usually. We usually don't know the specific period of time. I really wanted Fruit Loops, and I just went on my day, and it kept happening. I really wanted Fruit Loops. Another thing that we can't really see starting and stopping are in our head, la cabeza. So you can see I drew a really poor picture of a head. Hopefully you can draw a better picture than me. These are things that happen in our head. Pensar and creer. Your internal thoughts carry on over time. They don't have a specific start and stop. What you prefer. Maybe you did have a preference when you decided you liked Cheerios. Okay, you had your first bite of Cheerios and you said, oh, this is my favorite one. It's my preference. But if you still liked them when you were now and you liked them when you were 5, that's something that's carried on over time. It's not a boom done. Ser and a star to be. Often these are imperfect because they describe background information. And if you remember, background information is used the imperfect. So ser is used with time. Ser is used with description. Estar, it's used with location. It's used with feelings, things in your heart, right? Things in your head. To be able to, knowing how to ride a bike, I was able to ride a bike when I was 5. I can still ride a bike. It hasn't started and stopped. Having your abilities most likely are going to be continuous, therefore the imperfect. Same thing with knowing information. I knew the capital of the US was Washington, D.C. I still know it. I don't know the exact moment I learned it. If I had a rewind button, I could probably figure it out. But that doesn't start and stop. Knowledge doesn't necessarily work that way. Preterite examples. So now I'm actually skipping the timeline and going down to this bottom one, examples. The reason why is because I want a lot of space. So there's only a few examples for the preterite, but there's lots of examples for the imperfect. So you probably want a lot of space on that last page. Preterite examples. She fell. Ella se cayó. She started falling, she hit the ground, and then the falling was over. I was born on April 12th. There's that verb nacer. And I'll probably get cut off. I'll do part 2 here. I was born April 12th. Yo nací el 12 de abril. Look out for part 2 while we'll do the rest of this.